This is Steve from Boxing UK. A joy as always to be joined by Dave Coldwell. Are you tired, Dave? Did you stop up?
I did stop up, yeah. To be fair, I usually do stop up. But yeah, I was tired up until the chief sport, and then that woke me up. That was a really good fight, that was. And today I'm all right. I've just been pottering around, not doing that much, to be honest. So luckily there was no football this morning that we had to be out and about for. So it was a chill day today. So I'm just recovering, ready for tomorrow.
Good man. Dave, we'll get straight in there. Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo. First of all, what did you make of the fight? And
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Did Billy Joe do what you thought he would do?
Yes, but Canelo did what I thought it would do as well. It was a good fight. It was a good fight. I did say beforehand that I felt that it would be one of those where around the halfway point, Billy looked like he'd be in there. It looked like he'd be winning some rounds and be very, very competitive. But it's after the halfway point there where what Canelo's doing early doors and making Billy work and taking away a lot of what he's doing would have an effect, and the body punching would have an effect. And I felt, I thought Canelo was really good. The one criticism I had of him, not really a criticism because he's won the fight by what he was doing, but one thing that when I was watching it live, there was just a couple of rounds where I thought he's loading up too much on one shot at a time. But ultimately, that worked. But just when I was watching it at times, I just thought, I wonder if Billy can keep it together, whether that he can outwork him in because of that. But right from round one, I felt that Canelo's defense was brilliant. He was edging forward, and he was dropping back, and he was just making Billy miss just by centimeters. And Billy was throwing a lot in that first round, and he's missing everything, virtually everything, and in your mind, that starts putting you on a little bit of negative with your own output. You think you're not believing in your punches. And then when the man starts landing back at you, it does take away that confidence.
It does. Dave, how did you score it at the end of the eighth? How did you have it?
I had Canelo 2 up. I thought I gave Billy 3 rounds. Like I said, I thought it was competitive. But I didn't have Billy up. At the finish, I did have it, around. I remember one of the rounds was one of those, but I had it. I gave it Canelo. I had it two rounds up.
Dave, as a cornerman, can I ask you at the end of that 8th round? I know it's a pretty unique situation, but what would you have done in that position?
Pulled him out. I would have pulled him out. It was one of those where he was having to work a lot to stay in the fight. This is what happens when you're in with the elite level fighters. Even when you're very good, you go into that elite level, they make you work so hard just to stay in the fight, just to be competitive, just to try and stop them from doing what they want to do, from taking over the fight. And so he was expending a lot of energy. He started getting a little bit more ragged, leaving a few more gaps. And that, he got caught on the eye, and then from then on he took a real beating in that round, and he lost his shape, lost concentration, everything. And I think the body punches, I think the whole pressure that Canelo was putting on, it just made him unravel that round, along with the eye, obviously, And when he went back to the corner, I think it's a case of where you send him back out, it's only going to get worse. And when you're looking at that eye, if his eyes, when you see fighters with swellings all the time, when it's just the tissue that's swelled, it's not an issue. They're pressing with the end swell, the cutsman's working at it, and he's trying to keep swelling down. But when it's this orbital bone here, and there's an indentation on the orbital bone, that's serious shit. When it's not the soft tissue and when it's an indentation in the actual eye socket, you can't send them back out. That's serious. And I think at that point he was only going to go out there and get absolutely hammered anyway. Canelo had taken over the fight. It depleted Billy's energies and what he had to offer. enough to where Canelo was going to start wreaking some serious bombs on him. So I think Mark made the right decision. You know, the corner is there to take that decision out of fighters' hands.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't believe in this where a coach says to the fighter, if he truly means it. Sometimes you say it in order to spark them. You know, if somebody's not doing anything, if not that they're getting punished, but they're not working, they're not doing it what you're supposed to be doing. You know, you can say to them, listen, do you want me to pull you out of this fight? Do you want to be in here? Yeah. That's different. When it's a man that you feel as though he's given him his best and it's now a case of where he's on that slippery slope, if you get to that point as a coach where you feel that you need to say, shall I pull you out? You shouldn't be asking a fighter that. That's the point where you then have to take that responsibility and say, I'm pulling you out. I'm stopping it. And that's how it was. And that's the coach's job in that 1 minute. During the 3 minutes that's active, if a fighter's hurt, he goes down, he takes a knee or whatever. If he gets put down, he has the choice to get up. He has the choice. He is the one then that makes that decision in those 3 minutes, unless you throw a towel. The fighter makes a decision then. When it comes back to the corner, that's the coach's responsibility. If the coach thinks you're getting too much of a beating, then the coach will pull you out. There's not a referee that I've ever come across that if a coach turns around and says, that's it, fight's over, that they'll override what the coach has said to go with what the fighter said. Mm. Now, that's why the coach's responsibility in that 1 minute is massive. You know, that's so important. And Mark obviously felt that was the time then to pull the plug. And I'd have done the same thing. I agree. I don't think Billy had anything left to give. And plus, Mark's got a bird's eye view of this eye. Yeah. And if he's the scene, you know, I think it was Jamie Sheldon that was in the corner with him as well. And I saw him when he put his finger on the eye. I think it was, if there's an indentation in that eye socket, you can't send him out.
Can I ask the difficult question, Dave? I don't know if you've been on social media much today, but what do you make of the storm that he's a quitter? And I think he's attracted a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be expected. When the thing is, it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's us on the outside, whenever somebody's asked an opinion, if you're willing to give an opinion on something, other people are going to disagree. But when something comes down the line where it comes back and you're in a position where you can be challenged on what you'd said before, that's what's going to happen. That's how social media works. And you know, Billy's been quite vocal in certain aspects, certain things that he said before. So he's going to get that. It's going to get that back. But I also believe that anyone that does give an opinion, anyone that does say outlandish things from time to time, and you know, there's things that Billy's done that you can't, you know, no matter how much you like Billy, if you're a friend of Billy's or you like him for what he, you know, does in the ring or whatever, there are things that he's said, things that he's done where you can't, you know, it's not acceptable. So when shit goes wrong for him, he's going to get all the blowback and he's going to get all the shit coming back his own way. And so, that, you know, I'm sure that he's aware of that. I'm sure that he's always known that he's going to get that. But, you know, that's to be expected today. And, you know, people have been quick to say that, quick to jump at it. But, you know, like I said, he's gone back to the corner and his corner's pulled him out. So the corner's taken it out. That's what I'm saying to you, is the corner have taken away that decision from Billy. I'm not saying that Billy would have, I don't know. I'm not saying that Billy would have got up. I don't know him, you know, in that regard. I'm not saying he'd have got up and gone and fought. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that he didn't make the decision to stop the fight. The corner did. And that's what happens. I made that decision for Jordan Gill. Jordan, you know, when he was fighting Tinoco, and I'd give him every opportunity to try and come through it, and I knew that he just wasn't going to come through it that night. And he kept getting up. And when we came back to the corner, I said to him, I said, "You're not right." I said, "I'm pulling it out. I'm pulling you out." That's it. And he was upset about it, but he understood that when you're in that corner, the coach is looking out for your health. and that's what's happened. But when you've been vociferous enough to be digging out other fighters for choosing to quit, and saying enough's enough, then you're going to get it back, and that's just how it is.
Indeed, in spades today it would appear as well, Dave.
Yeah, because people are always, people are always going to do that. People are always going to do that. You always, and hindsight's a wonderful thing, because on the outside of it, when I've had a lot of people comparing it with the Dubois thing to me. I never slated Dubois for taking that knee. I never slated him. But when I'm asked the question, did he quit? Yeah, he chose to stop. But there's nothing. This is where my problem is. We attach in boxing. We attach a stigma. There's a stigma to the word quit in boxing. Oh, you can't quit. It's bullshit. Everybody's got a pain threshold. Everybody's got a limit on what they can stand. To everything. Some people can have the shower turned right up, red hot, whereas the missus gets in after them and starts screaming and has to turn it down. Some people can be cold. That's a different threshold in a different manner, but we all have different things. So some people can get punched on the nose and it doesn't affect them. Then somebody else gets in, as soon as they get it on nose, their eyes start watering, start crying, get out of the ring. And some people will fight on through no matter what. Broken jaws, eyes fully closed, immense pain, broken hands, broken ribs. There are people that will do that, and then there are others that won't. It's just your own pain threshold. So when you're asking, a fighter should, the minute that a fighter climbs through the ropes to fight, he's earned the right to say enough's enough, because he's done that in the first place. We're all sat at home criticizing or fucking slagging a man's man up because he's choosing to quit. He's chose to get in the ring. So the minute he climbs through the ring, he's earned the right to say, check out. I've given my best. That's enough. So I never slated Dubois for making that decision. What I did say was that I was shocked because they didn't look as though there were any big power shots landing. So all you're seeing is a jab landing. You're seeing the eye coming up. So you just think it's a swelling, because how many times do we see that in boxing? Now, hindsight's amazing, because afterwards, you see that he's fractured his eye. His eyes, it could have gone blind. It could have ended his career. So then with hindsight, you say, fucking hell, made the right decision.
Aye.
But when we're watching something live, we don't have hindsight. When we're watching something live, we cannot see it as we see it. But, like I said, a fighter has the right to choose to quit. But in Billy's case, I don't know if he'd have got up or not. I don't know if he'd have got up off the stool or not to go in. The point is, this corner stopped him from having to make that decision. That's good corner work. That's good corner work.
Yes, saved him for another day. Clearly, Dave, I don't know if you've just seen Eddie Hearn's tweet, but it looks like multiple fractures.
Yeah, multiple fractures, and so I don't even know if we'll see Billy in a ring again. But again, with hindsight, then you got to say, even if he chose not to get up and not to carry on with the next round, even if it was Billy's decision, with hindsight, that was the right decision, because we admire these fighters that are willing to go through everything. We admire these fighters that are so tough. We talk about how tough they are, but then a few years down the line, when they've retired and they've gone, and their eyesight's failed, or they've got other issues that's been brought on by having wars all the time that we've enjoyed and we've raved about and talked about how tough they are. Nobody gives a shit about them then, because you're on to the next one that comes through. So a fighter's got to do what's best for him, and the minute he climbs through the ropes, he earns the right to say, I've checked out, I've given my best, that's it. But ultimately as well, during that 1 minute, especially, I know we've got the option of throwing a towel in, yeah, but we have, after each round, we have that minute to assess whether we think our fighter's fit enough to go out again, and whether our fighter's capable of turning it around if it starts getting tough, and how much we can judge whether it's worth the punishment that they're going to take. And that's where Mark did a great job.
Absolutely. Dave, I know we pushed for time, so I'll leave the last word for you. A big week for you this week.
Yep, Lerrone Richards fighting for the European title. Excited about that. He's got so much. He's got so much ability. He knows now that he's got to go out there and show it and be comfortable in not being comfortable, because he likes to just do what do enough. Where he's just in his little role, and you watch him in fights before, and you think you could do more. And that's where the change is coming to him. He started kicking in. He started getting it over the last three weeks of sparring, where now he's taking him out of his comfort zone. His punch rate's a lot higher. He understands and he gets it, and it's good to see. It's good to see the quality that he's got, and he knows that he's got to go in there, and it's a great step up, European level, European title against a former world champion. A strong fighter, a big puncher, very experienced. Lerrone's only had 14 fights, so he knows that he's got to go in there. He's got to perform, and European title and then European title defenses and that level to box at is a great education for somebody that's got aspirations of going on to world level. So let's please God, who wins this European title and then gets a couple of defenses and gains a lot of experience and knowledge from them.
Absolutely. How far can he go, Dave, in your opinion?
It's hard to say, isn't it? He's 14 fights in. He's not boxed above domestic level yet. So it's hard to say. We'll see more on Saturday. But he's got skills and boxing ability. He has a lot of growing mentally to do, which he is doing, and he has a lot of experience to gain, which he needs to do, and that will only come through fighting. But yeah, he's got world class attributes and potential, but there's a lot of work to go there to get it and to show it.
Fingers crossed for this weekend, Dave. I wish you all the best for that.
Thanks,
one.
Mate.
Dave,
Cheers, mate.
I appreciate your time very much. I know that we're pushed, so I'll let you go.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Thank you very much as ever, Dave. It's been a pleasure.
See you later, mate. Take care.